Welcome to Men's Leadership God's Way. I'm your host, Don Wood. This is the place where men learn to lead with faith, clarity, and conviction. Together, we'll explore real stories and biblical principles to help you be a model of integrity in your career, family, and everyday life. Let's get started. Welcome back, my friend. Today, I want to talk about something that's very serious because it's something that every leader will experience, but very few know how to address this honestly. What happens when you're misunderstood in your leadership? I'm not talking about disagreements or being challenged in a healthy way or even questioned out of curiosity. I'm talking about the isolation of misunderstanding. It's when your motives get misread, decisions get interpreted the wrong way, silence gets viewed as indifference, your firmness is taken as being harsh. Patience means that you're weak or indecisive. Conviction is construed as you being a control freak. And if you've led long enough, you know that this isn't a rare experience. It's part of the territory. And what makes this difficult is not just the misunderstanding itself, it's what it does inside of you when it happens. Because when you care about people, you want to lead with integrity, to do what's right with your values before God. But being judged in a wrong way can cut deeper than criticism ever could. So today, I want to talk about why this happens and how it affects leaders so strongly, and the mistakes that guys make when they're misunderstood. I want you to learn how to stay grounded without hardening your heart. So, why do leaders get misinterpreted so often? Well, I believe it's with the higher level of responsibility, there are fewer numbers of people that see the full picture like you do. Leadership forces you to make decisions with information that other people simply don't have. You see risks that they can't see and consequences they don't understand. And you think about the outcomes they never have to consider. And because of that, your decisions often look inappropriate to the people who only see part of the story. And this isn't because they're bad people, they're just not standing in your position of accountability. And what's interesting is that scripture shows this pattern repeatedly. Moses was mistreated by the people he was leading out of bondage. David was misread by his own family before he's embraced by a nation. People laughed at Nehemiah while he's rebuilding the wall of protection for his community. And even Jesus was constantly misinterpreted by the people who were closest to him. You know, in the book of John, chapter 1, verse 10, it says, "He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him." So, if the Son of God was unappreciated, we shouldn't be surprised when leadership brings the same experience into our lives. People missing the point isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it's the price you pay for seeing a situation clearly that others don't. So, why does being misunderstood hurt leaders so deeply? Well, for many of the guys I work with, people getting the wrong idea about what they're trying to accomplish affects them more than failure. Failure can be corrected, analyzed, and even learned from, but misjudgment feels different because internally it triggers every indication that it's personal. It's as if your character is being questioned and your intentions are harmful. It feels like the people you're serving don't truly know your heart. And for leaders who value integrity, this can be one of the most painful experiences there is. Many leaders grew up in environments where they had to become responsible early in life. And when you're raised that way, you develop a strong internal commitment to do what's right. You don't want to hurt people or misuse your authority, So when people assume the worst about you, the effects can be devastating. And it's not because your ego is fragile, it's that your moral conscience matters to you. And this is why dissension can shake a leader more than pressure ever could. Do you ever feel like you're leading on the outside but running empty on the inside? Hi, I'm Don Wood, founder of Men's Leadership God's Way. I work one-on-one with executives and leaders who are ready to trade burnout, confusion, and isolation for clarity, confidence, and peace. My coaching is designed to help you to lead with conviction without sacrificing your health, faith, or family. If you're ready to experience the transformation you've been searching for, visit mensleadershipgodsway.com and let's start your journey today. Now, I want to talk for just a little bit about the mistakes leaders make when they are misunderstood. And the first one is this: they try to make everyone understand the situation. This sounds noble, but it can become a trap. Not everyone is going to agree with your decisions or align with your motives. So when a leader starts chasing approval, clarity disappears. You begin explaining too much and second guessing the decisions you know are right. You begin leading from reaction instead of conviction. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 25 says, "The fear of man lays a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is safe." Wanting to be understood is human, but the need to be accepted will eventually weaken your leadership. Let me say that again. The need to be accepted will eventually weaken your leadership. Now, the second mistake a leader will make is that they harden their heart. They stop caring about what anyone thinks and they tell themselves, if they don't get it, that's their problem. On the surface, this sounds strong, but underneath, it often means the heart has started to close. And when a leader gets hurt enough times, he starts to become distant without even realizing it. He still leads, performs, and makes decisions, but connection with others fades. And when this happens, leadership transitions into management. This is why Proverbs says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guarding your heart doesn't mean you harden it. You're protecting your heart, though, without shutting it down. So, what does healthy leadership look like in these circumstances? Well, I believe it demonstrates three things at the same time: clarity, humility, and conviction. Clarity means you know why you made the decision. Humility says that you stay open to the possibility that you might be wrong. And conviction is that you don't abandon what you know is right just because it's uncomfortable. And Jesus lived with this balance consistently because he listened and asked questions. He corrected when it was needed and stood firm when it was necessary. He didn't chase approval and shut people out. He stayed anchored with his Father in heaven. John chapter 5, verse 30 says, "I seek not to please myself, but he who sent me." And this is the center a leader must live from. Jesus wasn't pleasing everyone or even himself. He honored God's perspective. There were seasons when I was leading and doing what I believed was right. And sometimes the response I got was confusion, resistance, and criticism that felt completely unfair to me. And my first reaction was to explain more. And I even tried working harder. But then I started wondering if I was the problem. What I eventually realized was this: part of leadership is making decisions that only make sense from the position that you're in. And not everyone is standing there with you. And when I learned to bring those moments to the Lord instead of trying to fix everything, something changed inside of me. I became steady and calm, and I was less reactive. And it wasn't because I stopped caring, it was needing every person to agree with me to know that I was on the right path. That wasn't central in my leadership anymore. So, how do you respond when you're misunderstood? Well, the first thing you can do is to slow down before you react. When you feel like people are misreading you, your nervous system goes on alert. You want to defend yourself and explain and course correct the story. But here's what you do: you take a breath before you respond. James chapter 1 verse 19 says, "Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." I have never regretted slowing down and keeping my mouth shut just for a little bit longer and to listen to what people had to say. The second thing you can do that's healthy when you're misunderstood is to check your motives. You can ask yourself, am I acting from fear, pride, or maybe impatience? Or do I respond from assurance? Because look, if you find something that needs to change it. And if you don't, stand firm. And the third thing you can do is accept that being misjudged is a part of leadership. You're not a failure. It's just one of the aspects of the weight of responsibility you handle. And finally, you can stay connected to God and not just for the outcomes. Because when your identity comes from results, misperceptions feel like collapse. But when your identity comes from God, improper judgment becomes something you walk through and it doesn't define you. So here are three questions I want you to bring to the Lord this week. And the first one is this: Lord, where am I trying to be understood more than being faithful to you? Next one is this: Lord, where has being judged by others caused my heart to harden? And then finally, Lord, what would it look like for me to lead from your approval instead of everyone else's? Now, guys, I want you to sit with these. Don't just rush past them. Allow God the time for Him to provide the answers to you. My friend, if you're in a season where you feel misread in your leadership, you're not alone. Every man who handles important responsibilities walks through this. And the goal isn't to avoid it, it's to remain grounded when it happens. Keep your heart open, your mind clear, and your conscience clean. And most importantly, keep your eyes on the Lord. Leadership isn't proven by how people respond when they agree with you. It's how you stand when they don't. If this message spoke to you, I want you to visit mensleadershipgodsway.com. There are resources there to help you to remain strong, clear minded, and lead in a way that doesn't damage your spirit. Until next time, my friend, stay consistent, faithful, and be a leader God's way. Thank you for spending time with me today on Men's Leadership God's Way. I hope this episode gave you encouragement and practical tips you can use right away. And if you would, please take a quick moment to rate and review the show on Apple or Spotify. Your support helps more men discover how to lead with awareness, courage, and confidence. And if you're ready to take the next step in your leadership journey, you can learn more about my coaching services and resources at mensleadershipgodsway.com. Until next time, let God's wisdom be a guide in every decision you make in your life.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.